Hey guys, Michael here. We are back for game two with my Rug Bounce deck versus Green Red Aggro. Sideboard wise, it didn't really do much. The main board is pretty well situated against these kinds of decks, so pretty much the only thing is because I noticed he was playing more of an aggressive version of the deck, I opted to. I believe I took out the Niv-Mizzet, and I also took out the Kiora and added in both of the Anger of the Gods. Reason for this is it's just a much easier way to clear their board rather than waiting for an overloaded Mizium Mortars, as well as Kiora is better situated against decks that have a couple of large threats or maybe just one large threat rather than a bunch of threats on the board. As well as Niv-Mizzet, it really just doesn't do a whole lot in this deck, and we don't really need it to win, since it is one of our higher costing cards. I felt it was just a little bit too slow to get out there, and we had better things to do with our mana. So we are on the draw, of course, for the second game. This is a extremely good hand. Could not really ask for too much of a better hand. I would probably say if one of our lands was a Scry land, that would be better. But at the same time, this is a very, very keepable hand. We have ways of having early access to removal thanks to Izzet Charm and Mizium Mortars. We have early blocker thanks to Course of Krufix, and Prophet of Krufix is just a nice thing to play later on. So can't really complain with this hand. It's a really solid hand, so we'll keep it. Opponent plays a Stomping Ground tapped. We draw into another Mizium Mortars, which is actually perfectly fine in this deck just because we can start playing more of a control game in this matchup and just start one-for-oneing their removal. If they happen to get out of hand with the board, we can overload Mizium Mortars or Anger of the Gods. So we just play a Breeding Pool untapped, and my opponent plays a Burning Tree into a Magma Jet, probably figuring out his draws and fixing them, ensuring he hits the right things. We draw into Frostburn Weird. I would prefer to start hitting some lands at this point, but we still have some lands to play, and at least we still have things to play in between that, so it's not terrible. And Frostburn Weird is still a really good draw against these kinds of decks. So we just shock ourselves, and here I just want to minimize the damage as possible, as well as there could have been the possibility of him doing something like another Burning Tree into a Madcap Skills or something along those lines. So I wanted to wait until his turn to actually use Izzet Charm and remove his threat, just really buying us time and preventing as much damage as possible. He ends up just playing an Elvish Mystic and doesn't do anything else for his turn, which is really, really good for us. We draw into a Sylvan Caryatid, which is a way for us to ramp into things, but again, I really would enjoy hitting our removal here if we could. At least we still have, again, stuff to play in the meantime. I do have the choice of either playing Frostburn Weird or Sylvan Caryatid, but I opt to just slow him down because we are missing our land drops. I'm a little bit worried about being overtaken, and we do have an extra Mizium Mortars for overloading later on. He just replaces the Elvish Mystic, because I was still worried about something like a Stormbreath Dragon, so I wanted to keep him off that as long as possible. So he just plays an Elvish Mystic and passes a turn, which is awesome for us. We draw into another Simic Charm, which sucks because we've drawn no lands this whole game, which is luckily we have 3 lands in our hand though. So here I play Course of Krufix to hopefully get some lands going, and we do reveal a land off the top, which we scry, and we see another land on top of our deck. Of course, keeping a Mana Confluence on top. It does deal less damage, but we're still at a healthy life total at this point, and we want to get Prophet of Krufix online, since it allows us to utilize our mana a lot more efficiently that way. And again, we're not really under any pressure. Opponent untaps and he swings in with the Elvish Mystic. I'm perfectly fine with just using Course of Krufix and blocking at this point. We just want to minimize the damage, and then that's what Course of Krufix does. So we block it. He ends up just opting to use a Lightning Strike to finish off my Courser. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's 3 damage, not to my face. And he just plays a Temple of Abandon to scry. We draw our Mana Confluence and play it, that we knew was on top. I totally forgot to uncheck the reveal the top of my deck when my Courser of Krufix died. So sadly, Frostburn Weird is shown. There was a little bit of a misplay on my part, but I'm not too worried. At this point of the game, he has no board presence, and we are pretty much in control of things at this point. So we opt to just play the Prophet of Krufix because it untaps all of our land at our opponent's turn anyways. So we're able to flash in Frostburn Weird and Sylvan Caryatids, as well as Simic Charm if we need to bounce something. So he plays a Gorklan Rampager at the end of my turn, flashing both Frostburn Weird and Sylvan Caryatid, which is awesome. Absolutely love Prophet of Krufix in this deck. Make sure to uncheck the reveal card on top, and we draw the Frostburn Weird, which both of us knew was coming. And here we have access to Overload Mizzy-Mortars, but there's really no point because he has no board presence. So I opt to just swing in. Reason being is because if he blocked, I would just pump Frostburn Weird and trade with him because I'm perfectly fine with that. But otherwise, if he doesn't, it still allows us to get in a whole bunch of damage. So we pump, deal him 4, and second main phase, just get rid of his Gorklan Rampager because he is only down to 1 card, and we have access to a whole bunch of things. And even if he did trade, I had a replacement Frostburn Weird, so I was not really worried about that, and we just end up killing off his guy. At that point, he draws into pretty much nothing and concedes the game. So, the deck proved really, really well. Didn't really play a conventional green-red deck, I guess you could say, but it was a aggressive version of green-red, and my deck actually held up against it, which was a nice thing. Just wanted to show some gameplay, and still it's nice to at least test against every sort of deck out there. You're not going to be playing against the top tier decks every single time, so it's nice to dabble and test the waters against some of the other decks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this match. Let me guys know what you think, as well as let me know if you guys have any suggestions for the deck moving forward, and I'll definitely take a look at them. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.